Hey, what's up guys? This is Nick from Nick Expose. I wanted to make this quick little intro for the video that you're about to see. So you'll notice that this is actually in vertical format. So we're going to be jumping into an Instagram live stream. It was actually the 2-Minute Tuesday live stream that we did this Tuesday. And I was able to snag it off our phone and share it with you guys here to where if you guys missed the conversation or maybe you came into the conversation late, you could actually join the conversation by commenting down below. And I really would love to just revisit some of these topics and keep the conversation moving. So I would love to hear your comments down below. If this is a new video for you, maybe you should go check out the 2-Minute Tuesday before jumping into this. So every Tuesday, we launch a 2-Minute Tuesday topic. It's 2 to 4 minutes in the morning. And then in the evening, we revisit that topic together as a community on these live streams. Moving forward, they're going to be over on YouTube Live, and we're going to be able to catalog them that way. So the video format will actually be the widescreen. But for this one, we had to do Instagram Live, so we're just kind of rolling with it. And if you are on your phone on YouTube, you should be able to view the vertical photo or vertical video in natural format, so you should be able to utilize your entire phone screen for this. But thank you guys. I'd love to hear your comments down below. If you're new to the channel, I'd love for you to like and subscribe and join in our conversations in the future. But without further ado, we're going to jump over. This is about an hour-long conversation, and I'm jumping into it a couple minutes in, so that way we could kind of cut out all the initial fluff at the beginning of roll call and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, let's go over to the video, and thank you guys. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace. Awesome. And if you haven't seen today's 2-Minute Tuesday video, it was all about, I was at the coffee shop last night actually, and was talking to the barista, and he's a songwriter and musician and really trying to break into the music market, at least around here or maybe online. And one of the things that he had asked me was, within the art world, he said, to succeed in art, how much do you think is actually due to perseverance and just being persistent and just continuing on even if things aren't necessarily happening right now? And it got me thinking, and I responded back to him. And what I put in the video today was the fact of, yes, I do think that it's a lot of persistence, yes, but I think it's consistently doing the right things. Like, it's persistence while consistently doing just the different steps that it needs to be, or that you need to take in order to get to the goals that you're looking to get to. If all you're doing, and I want to say this lightly, because this is, I think, the part that some people misunderstand me. What I'm not saying is, I'm not saying that everyone needs to be a professional photographer. What I'm not saying is that everyone needs to have a growing, thriving Instagram account or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if that is your goal, if your goal is to create a personal brand to where you're trying to sell work, to where you're trying to market work, to where you're trying to do things apart from just shooting photography, if you're trying to do stuff with your photography, that's where this really comes into play. Even if it's not, even if your only goal is to just make better photos, then it's also being persistent and consistent on doing the right things for that as well, of challenging yourself with compositions, challenging yourself with, your exposures and all the different elements that make up to a good photo. It's also doing the right things there. So this isn't just for professionals, and this isn't just for amateurs and enthusiasts that are trying to make steps into building a personal brand. This is, I do really think that this is a nice principle for everyone, that a lot of, it can be applied to any point in life, to where if we're trying to do something, or if we're trying to grow in any particular way, it really goes, okay, where am I trying to go? And then breaking it down backwards and breaking it down to the key element and just going, okay, what is it that I need to be doing today or tomorrow or this week or whatever it might look like to move towards that goal, right? One of the last episodes in last season's 2-Minute Tuesdays was, I was walking around outside really talking about taking a moment to recognize the different progressions that we've hit along the way, and taking a moment to realize all the different accomplishments that we've done, because it's these small little wins that build up to the larger grand scale of success, right? Whatever that looks like. And I think that that's a big thing to determine right now is that success is completely determined by whatever it is that you're chasing after, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish with your artwork, with your photography, with your personal brand, or anything like that. The things that I count as success within my artistic career are going to be different than probably the things that you count as success, and that's perfectly fine. So this whole point isn't to, shame people who are only in the art of photography just for the art of photography or just for the creating of photos. That's perfectly fine. Like, that one is not better than the other. But I do think that this is also a grander conversation, because I have so many conversations with you guys to where you're looking to step into selling more zines. You're looking to step into, making it into publications, or growing your social media presence and whatever that might look like, And I do want to kind of hone in on that and kind of talk to you guys today and see, what is it that you're really trying to do with your artwork? I'd love to ask you guys that, and I'd love to see you guys just responding back right now with what your photographic goals are, what your artistic goals are, what your personal branding goals are, and then what are the steps that you think that you need to be doing to get towards that. And I'd really like to just kind of wrestle through that with you right now, and just kind of work through that, because I think if we could just come together collectively, sharing what it is that we're trying to do, what it is that we're trying to, or that we need to do on a week-to-week basis, day-to-day basis, I think a lot of people are going to leave this live stream really moving forward with some momentum. I was thinking about it. I didn't have this thought until on my way home today, but I was thinking about the conversation on the Candid Frame with Ralph Gibson, and he was talking about how for 3 years he calls the Somnambulist, the first like real book that he did. He calls it his baptism by fire, because he literally spent 3 years building this project up and building the work for it, and really just doing all the steps. And he actually went into severe debt and was owed the Chelsea hotel like 9 months rent, and had 2 of his 3 Leicas on pawn. And but at the same time, when he launched that book, it was the very element that needed to happen in order for the rest of the photographic world, the artistic world, the viewership world to be able to approach him in a completely new way. And it took him doing 3 years of just nonstop work and taking the steps that he needed to build the whole pressing program that he did, to where he started making his own book. And really went through the whole process of becoming a bookmaker in order to present something to the world. And the way that he said it was, he had been doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it wasn't that he was approaching the world in any different way. He was very consistent on the way that he approached the world. But in a moment when something clicked, the world started approaching him in a completely different way. And he says he went from, complete poverty and anonymity, thank you, to being able to speak at different places and all these, accolades that he started getting. But it was because he was doing step by step by step for 3 years. And then before that, for, the 9 years or whatever that he was shooting before that, and going through art college. And it was all these steps that led up to the, what people call overnight success. And I think that that's another part of this whole thing, is this conversation of what is overnight success. And some people think that some people just wake up one morning and all of a sudden they've hit this giant stride. Well, it's because they were doing all the right things for all the right time. So let's see here. Price Film, how's it going, Nick? It's going very well, thank you. Good seeing you. Sean, what's up, buddy? Persistent consistency is definitely a phrase that is super important to remember. I'll definitely keep that in mind from now on. Awesome to hear. Definitely something that I'm working on. Yes, if you don't learn from mistakes and practice changing those mistakes, you'll keep making them, if that makes sense. Totally makes sense. Yeah, and you know that is one of the things is really kind of, you know, having a self-awareness to where you could start recognizing the things that might not be working. But at the same time, oftentimes we're so focused on the micro, and we're so focused on, oh, I didn't grow any followers this, you know, today or anything like that. We need to start looking at the macro, and we start making all these shifts right off the get-go. And if we were just to keep plugging along and doing the same thing, you know, with intensity, with, as long as that same thing is something that's moving you towards that goal. It's much more of a macro thing of being able to see the large picture, being able to look back a month later, 5 months later, 6 months later, and go, okay, so now where do I need to make the shifts? But because we live in such an instant culture, oftentimes we think that we're making more mistakes than what we actually are. And we're starting to make all these like little, you know, if you're into sailing, you start to, you know, jive all over the place, and you just start losing momentum. The more that a boat jives through or cuts through the water, I lacking on some of the terms, but the more that a boat cuts through the water, the more it's slowing down and starting to lose momentum. But if you could do these large tacks and everything like that, you could start going in a direction, and then you know when to, you know, cut over the other direction, and you're eventually going to hit that goal down the line. But it's these giant maneuvers that get you there versus all these little micro maneuvers. So yes, I do agree. But I think it's something that we also should be thinking a little bit different on. Kenneth says, love that perspective, Nick. It's easy to get so focused on my goals that I forget to celebrate the little victories. Yes. Do you take pics of ugly kids? I have a new one. I don't do much child photography, but I'm sure he's not. Yeah, it's my buddy Josh. We went to school together. He's a funny guy. Daniel says, my current goal is to create a zine. Nice. Daniel, what moves are you making on making that happen right now? I'm looking to sell high quality prints and start my first zine. Nice. That's exciting. It's exciting. And you know, it's, yeah. I'm just going to read through a couple more comments because I think I'm going to probably start saying the same thing to a lot of people. My big goal for the past few months was to make my first zine, and I sold out of it. My next big goal is to make 50 copies of a different zine and sell it out. Nice. Congrats on selling out of your zine. I think it's also important to examine why you have the goals you do. That's something I've been pondering lately for myself, and I haven't been thrilled with my answers. Recognition, money, etc. Absolutely. I completely agree. And if all you're is, that's a big point and something that I want to dive into, probably in future episodes. But, it's really, I'm a firm believer on asking myself why. Why is it that I'm trying to do the things that I'm trying to do? And really trying to make sure that, because it's especially different. I'm going to kind of lower this down a little bit. It's especially a big deal when you're approaching a community, and if all you're in it is for recognition, if all you're in it is for money and monetary value, you're not going to be able to serve a community well. You're not going to be able to serve your clientele well. You're not going to be able to serve literally anybody well, because when you start looking at how can I gain more money, how can I gain more recognition? Now, gaining money is not a bad thing. Earning money with your artwork is a good thing, and it's a tool to be able to make more artwork, to be able to do change, to be able to live in general. But at the same time, when that's our sole focus is I'm going to produce a zine so then I can make money, or I'm going to do all this, all of a sudden we start to I don't know, it becomes a completely different relationship between us and the viewer. It becomes, I'm only going to put this out there in hopes that you're going to buy it. And there is time for that. There is time for being able to sell things and being able to do that. But the relationship with the viewer is a very, very important thing. And the relationship with the community is a very, very important thing. And I think that that's where so many people, you know, we've talked about some people in the past, and I'm not going to bring up any names right now, but people that their shift in their mindset goes completely towards making money, and all of a sudden they start watering down the content. It starts to almost feel like like a sense of just, dirty, unhealthy, and it just almost feels like prostitution in a weird way, to where they're just pumping things out just so they could get you to give them your money. And it becomes a weird thing. But when you actually go through and you start going, what is it that I'm actually trying to achieve with my artwork? What is it that I'm trying to offer a viewer? One of the questions I want to bring up in a future episode is, why would anybody want to look at your work? Or, asking myself this question of, why would anybody want to look at my work? What is it that I think that they're going to get out of it? What is it that I'm trying to give to them in my work? And I think that that's a very important thing to answer, because if we don't answer that, then we're just going to pump stuff out, and then we just kind of ride the wave of whatever happens with it. Which again isn't necessarily a terrible thing. It's just, if we're going to be intentional with our artwork, and that's what my entire channel is about, is really being intentional on the things that we're trying to say, the things that we're trying to do, both as an artist and within our art. But yeah, I think having an idea of what it is that you're trying to actually accomplish is a big thing. And I was actually just thinking about it too, and this might be another topic. I was just eating ramen noodles and was having these in-depth thoughts as I was eating the ramen. But one of the things I was thinking about was, oh my gosh, I just lost my entire train of thought. This is how tired I am. Anyways, it'll come back to me. Oh my word, I was on a good roll. But my personal goal is to be fearlessly authentic in whatever I'm producing, and staying consistent for sure. Nice. That's a good goal. Personally, I really need to work on consistency. Why I switched to one film, one developer, one lens, but also seeing my mistakes and move forward from those. Totally. Justin says, number one goal, to be a positive influence and inspire others. And then number two, create a meaningful and lasting body of work that gives create a meaningful and lasting body of work that outlives me. And then number three is be able to do my fine art photo work as my primary income eventually. Nice. I like those. I like the prioritizing of goals there. My primary photographic goal at the moment is to sell a print. Having a stranger value my stuff enough to want to buy it would be a huge boost to my morale. Nice. Yeah, it definitely can be. Yeah, I have some thoughts on that, but I'm just gonna kind of mull some things over, because with the exhaustion that I'm going through right now, my brain isn't firing on all cylinders. So I don't want to just start speaking on some of these things, because it might come out wrong. I think zines will be my main goal for the next period of time in photography overall. Sure. And I think that that's a big goal for a lot of you guys, and I really enjoy that. And that's a big goal for me. I have another zine that I'm in the middle of putting together right now, and then I have 5 more at least that I'm going to be able to hopefully produce within the next 5 months probably. Matt Day is doing a great work. Follow his own way. Consistency. Also, you are doing with the time you have and aesthetic line of approach to the process. Nice. I think there might be some broken English there that I'm trying to understand, but Matt Day does do a great job with his consistency of just his personal work, and I really enjoy that. And I think one of the things that sometimes we think about consistency, and we start thinking, one of the big things that I've been thinking through lately is just this idea of the photographic style, right? And trying to find our own photographic voice. And I think sometimes that could be a very limiting thing when we start to hone in and we start to go, oh, this is my photographic style. This is what people know me as. I have a very specific style that people know me as. And I have a lot of people that tell me that when they see my photos pop up on their feed, they know it's one of my photos. But at the same time, if I hone myself into that, and if I go, okay, so that's my photographic style, what happens if I want to try something different? And if I want to start, challenging myself to create outside of the box of the things in the ways that I know how to create, and much of the reason why I have such a consistency with my style is because I fall into my comfort zone more often than not, right? I'm shooting HP5 at 1600 and, I process it the same way, and I